I'm going to start off by saying I'm not a presentation deck designer. So my slides aren't pretty, they're just to the point, actionable information. And I want to teach you guys something today about how to scale your company, mainly through paid advertising. And I'll also go over how I started Viper and the exact process we use to get our first 12,000 email followers and first 200 customers. So hopefully you'll learn something from this presentation and you can apply it to your company. But a little bit about me and like why you should care, why you should even listen. As he was saying, I have spent a bit of money on paid social, mostly Facebook and Instagram ads, up to $100,000 a day for some clients. And that spans across e-commerce, SaaS companies, app companies, all that sorts of things. So I started an ad agency around that. So everything I'm telling you, I actually put into practice as well. So you'll learn all the strategies that I use to spend a lot of money day after day. And the other thing is I started a software company, Viper, which helps companies run viral contests and giveaways. And I'll show you exactly how I started that using paid social and viral contests. So that's exactly what we're going to go over. The few things I do want to touch on, which are the main areas that you really need to pay attention to when running your paid advertising on Facebook and Instagram, is one, the ads and the ad copy and the ad creative. Two, we're going to look at audiences, what audiences you should be using, where to find audiences, how to target audiences, and the other one will be optimizations. So how do you optimize your account to get better ROI on all of your ads? Okay, so the thing with marketing is paid advertising is a fast way to scale if you can make it profitable. I still encourage you to always do organic things as well. So make sure you're still doing all your organic stuff because that's going to also help you leverage paid advertising a lot. I see a lot of companies who think, okay, I'm just going to chuck thousands of dollars into Facebook, not do anything else, and hopefully I'll have $100,000 a week company in no time. You definitely need to do both of these things, and you need to get a lot more creative with your marketing. These days, there's so many ads. I think the average American sees $300 worth of ads a day. I think Australia is closer to 50. And that just tells you how many ads people are actually seeing day after day. So when it comes to advertising, there's three main corners that you really want to pay attention to. And if you can get these three aligned, you can run extremely successful ads. So the top one is you have these levers to adjust. So the top one is ad copy and creative. So you need to make sure that your ad copy and your ad creative is on point for the target market that you're targeting. I'm going to show you exactly how to write really good ad copy and what sort of images and creative you should be using. The other corner is targeting and platform settings. So this is making sure that you are targeting the right people at the right time with the right message. This is extremely important, and it's something that you definitely need to consider when you're building out the funnel of your ads. And the third one, which a lot of people forget, is website experience. So when someone clicks through your ad, what are they experiencing? Is it a really slow page load? Is it irrelevant content that they weren't expecting? But once you get these three levers all aligned, you can scale extremely well through paid advertising. And you want to continually be testing these three and slowly improving them week after week. This isn't a silver bullet. It takes time and usually takes up to a month or two of obviously testing before you do find that sweet spot that you can really scale up to those $100,000 a day spends. Okay, so how do you write a really good ad? So there's a few things here that I've tested and I've found that work really, really well. So the crazy thing is everybody loves emojis. We hate to admit it, but it grabs attention, it makes the content much easier to read, and you can highlight specific things in an ad that you want to draw attention to. Because when you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, there is so much going on in that feed, and it's really hard to grab that person's attention. You have about 2 to 3 seconds to grab that person's attention. Now, if you just have a slab of text, you're not going to grab that attention. You really want to use emojis to separate that out. And as you can see, these slides are extremely content heavy. So you can read through all those because I do have to fit this presentation into a 25-minute slot, and it's a 45-minute presentation. Another one here is ad creative. So you definitely want to be using video. Video is by far the top converting placement that we run. Specifically, if you can run a 3:4 ratio, which is portrait, or a 1:1 ratio, which is square. Facebook now allows you to also have square images. They're rolling that out in accounts. So check your account next time you create an ad click image. An ad with images, not videos, and you should be able to use a square image. How many of you guys are actually running Facebook ads currently? Raise of hands. Okay, so most of you, so this is relevant. The other thing, timing. You want to keep it to usually 15 to 60 seconds. This will allow you to run your video content across multiple platforms. So you can run your same video across Facebook. You can run it on Instagram. Facebook now has a bunch of third-party placements on website audiences and that sort of stuff. So they partner up with people. So you really want to aim for a video in the 15 to 30 second range. The other thing is, in the first 3 seconds of that video, you need to grab that person's attention. So it's like, that opening 3 seconds really needs to say, okay, why should I watch the rest of this video? How are you going to grab that person's attention? Usually it's curiosity, a shock factor, or a huge benefit. So make sure that in that first 3 seconds, you're really putting in, that wow factor. The other thing that a lot of companies don't do that's super important is actually testing the holding image. So now, usually videos will autoplay, but a lot of people now turn off autoplay, and people on slower internet connections also don't have the autoplay. So that holding image is now really important when you're creating videos. Now, this is the biggest kept secret, I suppose, of paid advertisers on Facebook and Instagram. So this is a concept called the dark post concept. And so the reason that we do this is so that we can pull social validation. So social validations are likes, shares, and comments. These are great indicators on how popular, well, your product works, how much attention it brings, and it's a great validator to say, like, hey, you should watch this video or you should click. So the more likes, shares, and comments you have, the higher your ROI will be, the lower your CPMs will be, cost per 1,000 impressions, and you're going to get a much better return on ad spend. So here is how you do this. You create an ad, and every single ad on Facebook creates a single URL. So every ad has its own URL. Now, if you just keep creating ads, that means every single one of your ads is starting from zero every single time. If you create an ad, publish it, look at the post, and get the URL, you'll actually be able to take that one post and spread it across all of your ad sets and all of your campaigns. So that way, when you're spending $100 a day, instead of spending, say, $5 per ad, you're spending $100 on that same ad. And so all of that social validation is pooling, and it's getting much more popular. And people are much more likely to stop and look at your ad if you've got a few hundred likes, comments, and shares, as opposed to if it's a new ad with only 1 or 2 shares. The next section of that, once you've published your ad, you grab the URL for the post, and then you take the post ID, and there's a little feature in Ads Manager. Make sure you're always using Ads Manager. Don't use the boost post in your feed. It's you get suckered into that, and that's how Facebook makes all its money. But yeah, you switch over that to use existing post, and you put in the ID there. So I know this is kind of technical, but if you're going to do one thing that's going to change your account and make it profitable, it's going to be this tactic. Okay, so now we've gone over how to create good ads, how to get the right creative, how to use dark posts. I want to show you how to do targeting. So targeting is extremely important because you always want to be showing the right message at the right time to the right person. Now, traffic has different warmths, is the best way to describe it. So a really hot target audience would be a remarketing audience. So that is website remarketing, social remarketing, email list remarketing. So you want to make sure that that's where you start because that's the fundamentals, that's the ground level. So that's where you're going to get the highest ROI. So make sure you always set that up. Next, you go into lookalike audiences. Now, this is something Facebook's developed that's extremely powerful because they have the kind of like the best profiles on everybody in the world. So there are so many data points that Facebook has on every user across all the third-party data centers they use, which they got in trouble for, all of their social engagements that they're tallying up. So if you ever like a Nike ad or if you ever comment on a Nike post, they know you're interested in Nike, athletics, fitness, that sort of thing. So when you create lookalike audiences, you use so much data that creates really good prospecting audiences. Prospecting meaning they've never heard of your brand. So make sure you set up those next. The way that you set these up is you use a seed audience. So a seed audience can be a list of emails, it can be a audience that you've collected from the Facebook pixel. But yeah, make sure you're always creating lookalikes from really highly engaged or high intent audiences. So you want to create a lookalike audience based off, the top 20% of your customers' average order value. So say your average order value is $50, but 20% of your customers are actually spending over $200. You want to make your audience based on those group of people that are spending $200. A lot of people make the mistake of just creating an audience for purchases only, but there's a huge spectrum of how engaged or how interested those customers are. So really target your highest intent audiences to make your lookalikes. The third section is the cold audiences. So this is when you're doing interest targeting. So that's when someone's like, okay, I like entrepreneurship, and there's something like 80 million people in that audience on Facebook. I'll show you how to find the audiences that you need to do though. So this is also an extremely important part. So I know when I say remarketing is the one you should set up, but what happens if you don't have many people visiting your site? What happens if you don't have much going on? That's when you really need to start doing a lot of research on interest targeting. So the way you can do that is use a tool within Facebook. So this tool is called Audience Insights. Now, when you find out what interests people have from your customers, you'll collect this from surveying. If you're creating a business, you probably should know something about the customer you're going after. So you can kind of build out personas, what they like, where they hang out, what visitors, what magazines they read. There's so many different things you can collect data on. But you want to use this Audience Insight tool to then go to that and put those into Facebook. So Facebook is then going to go and find all of the audiences that are most alike the interest or the audience that you've already inserted. So say people, your target audience is maybe 18 to 25-year-olds. They go to events and they like Steve Aoki. So you put Steve Aoki in there, you put in the parameters around age, location, all that sort of stuff, and Facebook's going to find all the other interests that those people are very engaged with. So you want to start there at targeting those interests. Is everybody still following? Is this too in-depth or no? Okay. So the other ways you can collect information from customers is, one, you want to survey them. People do not talk to their customer enough. So you want to have a survey for leads. Ask your leads why they're not purchasing. What could make this better? Why is it too expensive? Am I missing a feature? Is it not the right time? Find out from your leads, so people who have intent of buying but don't buy, find out from them why they're not buying. And then once someone purchases, find out why those people purchased. What was the reason that you purchased? Was it that the product was better than the competition? Was it this particular feature? Was it the price point? Was it the sale? You want to constantly be collecting information by surveying your leads and your customers. It's super easy. It's almost free. You can just chuck a survey in the confirmation email of your purchases. You can use Google Forms, Typeform, whatever you want. But this is a really cost-effective way to get a ton of information from extremely relevant people. The other one you can do is obviously build out those personas. So you have an idea of who your target market is, build out those personas, and then target competitors and complementary brands. So that's where you should probably start if you're just getting started with Facebook ads. Okay, so now that we have created the ads, we know what we need to create, we know how to create the audiences. Now that you've got your ads running, how do you actually optimize these? So there's a ton of stuff that you can do to optimize these ads. A lot of people just set and forget, which is not a great strategy to follow. So you want to have roughly 4 to 6 ads per ad set, and it's way more important to test creative than copy. So when you run a test, you'll want to put in maybe 1 or 2 copy variations and then 2 to 3 creative variations. And so you're going to run that test for, let's say 2 weeks, enough time to get a significant amount of data. And then you're going to get the top image and the top copy, and then you're going to follow that dark post method. So once you've done that test, you found the top copy, you found the top creative, you take that into a dark post and you scale it in all of your top performing ads. So you can see how we're slowly whittling this down to using the top copy, top creative, top audiences, and this is how you really create a performing ad account. The other thing that you really want to look at is the breakdown analysis. So once you've done your tests and you have your ads running, you want to actually use this feature within Facebook, which is the breakdown analysis. So this will let you segment all of the traffic that you've got to this ad, and it will show you the performance of your columns. So your columns you set up are like cost per click, cost per conversion, all that sort of stuff. So you can break down your ad account by those columns plus all of these things here. So it's age, gender, region, country, placement. And what you want to do here is on the ad set level, you want to be removing anything that's not converting so that you're reallocating your spend to the places that you are getting results. So this is an easy way to sort of break that down, and then you want to go in and edit that ad set to make sure that you're only spending money in your highest performing placements. Rule of thumb, you want to also be optimizing based on ROAS, which is return on ad spend. So this takes into account how much you're spending, how much you're making from each particular purchase. If you have a set product, you only have one product, you could also use CPA, cost per acquisition only. Or you could, if you have a subscription model, you could also use cost per acquisition. But just make sure you you understand the metrics of all of this. So how much a customer equals in revenue over the lifetime, how much it takes to service that person, and then how much you're willing to spend to acquire that person. And hopefully you have some profit in there too. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys some actionable things to do today. So this is your 48-hour checklist if you are running ads. So first off, please try out the dark post method. If you don't know, if you run into trouble, there's a ton of places you can Google it. It is a little bit harder to find because most advertisers don't want to share this with you. but no, it will improve your account a lot. Use the breakdown optimization. So this is an easy, quick win. You'll probably find that there's a bunch of placements, a bunch of age groups, and a bunch of regions that just are not performing that well for you. Get rid of those. They're no good. Exclude those from your ad sets. Stop using the boost button. So when you post something to your Facebook page and Facebook's like, hey, you can reach 10,000 people for $2, those 10,000 people are not accurate. They are not your target market. So make sure you're always using the kind of like the optimization tactics, and make sure you know who you should need to be targeting for the best ROI. Sorry, I've got to keep going because I know we are short on time. So that's kind of like how to run Facebook ads. The other half of this presentation, I want to show you guys how we actually started our company and how we got going. This section is more for the startups who want to kind of like get rolling. So the company that we started was a viral contest marketing company. So it helps people like, we partner with like Universal, Warner Brothers, those sort of people. And we get their artists to run contests, which helps them build their email list, social following, and all that sort of stuff. So the funny thing is, the way that we launched this company was actually using the product. Because we did find from running all of these ads, we wanted to also work on the organic side, but we didn't really necessarily want to do that through paid ads because it's very expensive to buy likes and buy engagement. There's no ROI in that. So the way a contest works is, I'm sure you're all familiar, but you offer a prize, someone enters, and then you get them to complete bonus actions or actions which are like, follow, share something, join a Facebook Messenger list, all that sort of stuff. And the person at the end with the highest points wins. So this is kind of what it looks like. And the reason that we wanted to do these was that, one, we were able to get our cost per lead down from like, $2 to $3 all the way down to about 40 to 50 cents. So when you get a little bit more creative with your marketing, you can definitely achieve much better results than just paid media. So that's why I really want to emphasize what I said to start with. Paid media is great for scaling, but you really want to get creative and try and do more than just paid media, because someone else always is going to have more money than you and is willing to spend more to acquire that customer. So you need to be more creative than them and create a better enticing offer. Okay, so the reason that you want to use these things. So as I was saying, Why? Because we use these contests to, one, build that social engagement on our ads. Two, it takes a really long time to create organic engagements, likes, shares, all that sort of stuff. So when you incentivize with a contest or giveaway that has a prize, you can do it much faster. So I'm going to keep going through here. And so this was the original contest that we ran to validate our product. Doesn't look great, but we're a SaaS product. So we're like, okay, so who's going to be interested in this product? So we partnered up with a bunch of other companies that were also in the similar space. So they all were targeting entrepreneurs, digital marketers, that sort of thing. So if you have a product that has complementary brands, you can partner up with them and you can get a lot more engagement. So if you're just starting out, this is a really good way to get in front of a lot of people. Because when you partner up with someone, so say we partnered up with ClickFunnels. So we partner up with ClickFunnels, and then our brand gets in front of everybody on ClickFunnels because they share it on their email list, they post about it on their social media, they mention it in their podcast, whatever it is. So this is a great way to start your company and get rolling. And I would not suggest doing this many. We did way too much. This is a lot of work. But I would suggest going with 3 or 4 partner companies. And so on the landing page, you want to make sure that you have scarcity, so you have timers. Anytime you can include scarcity, you're going to get much better results. Whether the scarcity is time, quantity, any way that you can improve the scarcity of something, you're going to get much better results. So this section this is the real reason you want to run these. So we were starting from zero, so we had nothing. We didn't have any followers, we didn't have any engagement, we had nothing. So when someone enters the contest, we made them retweet about our brand. We made them watch a training session that we did, which also sold the product. We also made them repost something on Instagram about us, join our Facebook group, join our messenger list, all that sort of stuff. So this way, instead of us having to go out and pay for all this stuff, we were able to literally just offer our own product for free, which wasn't costing us anything. Well, it cost us a little bit, but not much. And all of these complementary branders accounts as well. And we were able to get all of this stuff as opposed to having to pay for all this. So this is also the thank you page for this. So this is why it works, because you're gamifying and you're incentivizing people. So here you can see, you have a placement, you have a leaderboard which show where you rank. You have the main viral aspect of this is using the share URL. So once someone signs up, you want to get them to sign up all their buddies, because usually the people that you hang out most with are most like you. So we give them bonus entries for referring their friends and completing those bonus actions. So at the end of all of this, we had some results. So these are what I'm going to share with you today, and this is how we sort of started Viper. So this was all of the metrics that we got from the contest. We ran this for, I think it was 3 weeks or something. We collected a bunch of email addresses and also generated a ton of engagement on all those other bonus actions. We went from 3,000 emails all the way up to 12, 13,000 total. But then what was really important here, and what people need to make sure they do, is when they run these, you need to clean your list. So exactly what I was saying about the audiences, you need to make sure you're showing your ads to high quality people. Because if you're just blasting it out to absolutely everybody, it's not relevant, it's not timely, and it's not what they want to see. So usually you want to 100% clean any list that you ever get. So the way we cleaned this list is, we only included people who actually got some points in the contest. They only if they confirmed their email address, and only if they had, as I was saying, over, I think it was 100 entries. So this way we were able to have a really high engaging email list, and that was great for our deliverability and our follow-up sales. Results from the giveaway. So this was actually the month-over-month growth. So also note that when you start a product, it's going to suck. You really need to start and get volume and feedback so that you can improve and make your product better. Nobody hits it out of the park the first time they ever do it. you're always going to have to make pivots, iterations, improve the product in different ways to make sure that you're delivering something that people are willing to pay for. So you can see we had a big spike when we ran the contest, which was during the contest. And then the most important part, because we are a monthly subscription, it's not an impulse buy, the nurture campaign was super important. So, that following nurture sequence of emails really helped convert all those people that showed initial interest but didn't yet want to buy. So timeline was, I suppose if you are looking at doing something like this, it does take a little bit of time, but once you have all of this done, then you have an audience to start using in your Facebook ads. You know who your target market is. You're able to survey all these people. You're able to build your audiences for purchases. And you need all this stuff before you go into scaling with Facebook. It's very hard to go into Facebook with no data or no idea who you're actually looking to target. So this is a way that you want to include organic and paid to really propel your company. All right, so how to market a contest. So I know it's easy to sit up here and be like, hey, yeah, we did it, these were the results, but how did we actually do it? So this is going to tie back into Facebook ads a little bit because we spent $600 on that campaign, and this is if you are going to start. You want to make sure that you're very effective, cost effective when you do start your company, because you obviously, unless you take funding, you don't have a ton of capital. So what we did here, created the Facebook ad, and as I mentioned before, how we had that dark post. So we used that dark post, but in the contest, one of the options was to like, share, and comment on our post. And so everybody was doing that, and then we took that post, turned it into an ad. And the great thing about that is when you launch it, Facebook's like, hey, there's a bunch of engagement on this one. There's a bunch of likes, there's a bunch of comments, there's a bunch of shares. So they give you a really high relevancy score. So that really helps in your paid advertising, because if you have a low relevancy score, then you're going to pay a much higher cost per 1,000 impressions. That's just the way Facebook does it. If people aren't engaging with your ads, they make you pay more. The other thing that works, so this is what I was saying, how we got our cost per lead down. Usually an email sign up for us organically takes a long time. An average conversion rate for a lead on a website might be like 2-3% on a blog post or something. But we were able to get very cheap leads. If we were running direct lead ads, we were usually paying $3 to $4. But this way we were able to get it down to kind of like 50 cents. These were the interests we were targeting. So you can see we had, some, interests, some lookalikes, and some, we didn't have any remarketing yet because we didn't really have any customers, or we didn't have much traffic to our website. So this is how we started off with prospecting only. I'm quickly going to go through this because I've got a time limit here, but when you're following up, super important. This is where you make all your money. So it's really important to nurture your leads. People aren't going to buy the first time they see you. It usually takes, I think it's 4 to 8 interactions before someone's familiar with your company and they're willing to buy. Now, the more touch points you have, if you have them on Instagram, Facebook, email, Facebook Messenger, Facebook group, you can reach that much quicker. So that's why you want to build multiple channels. Really focus on, I say 3 to 5, so that you don't just like scattergun and go everywhere. But yeah, really focus on 3 to 5 of those. And this was the follow-up email we had. So this is what converted a lot of those people who signed up, but didn't win. So we were like, okay, hey, thanks for using our contest. Thanks for entering. These are the winners. And then we said, okay, everybody's a winner. And so you give everybody a prize for participating. That's the way life is now. Everybody gets a medal. And so that prize is obviously assisting them to learn more about the company, engage with us more, and also it was giving them a discount, essentially. And so that helped convert a ton of customers for us as well. So I'm glad I got to squeeze that in very quickly. But if you do have questions or anything, I'm pretty sure I have office hours upstairs, I think it is. But I'm not sure if they're booked or not. But if you do have questions or need help scaling your Facebook ads or starting your company from scratch, hit me up in the office hours and let me know if I've got time for questions. One question. I've got time for one question. Who's the lucky one? Yep.
Do we know what?
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, it's working. The question I had was about lookalikes.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know exactly what that means from Facebook? Is it going to look at their app downloads, their location, and is there a way to adjust that so it's more specific to what we're looking for, as opposed to like, everyone likes ice cream or everyone's going to this location?
Yeah, so the main thing with lookalikes is the quality you put in is the quality you get out. So that's why I was saying you really want to segment or only use your highest intent audience. So that's why the example was, if you have your purchases, you want to make an audience from your top 20% highest spending customers and make your lookalike based on that. Facebook won't tell you the data points they use, but it's pretty obvious stuff. It's like age, gender, location, interests, all that sort of thing. They do a relatively good job. That's why Facebook and Instagram is probably the leading advertising platform right now, because they do have such an advanced lookalike audience feature, and they have so many data points on everybody. So my advice to you is definitely segment and refine your leads. So if you can, only want to target males, females, whatever it may be, segment that email list or that list that you have and only upload the highest intent or highest engaging people, and that's going to get you a much better quality lookalike audience. All right, well, thank you so much, and I'll be around for the rest of the day.